In the last video, we looked at Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, and Terminator Salvation. And, they were okay. But that wasn't the end of the franchise.
No.
So now we're going to look at 2015's Terminator Genisys and 2019's Terminator Dark Fate. 2015's Terminator Genisys was an attempt to do, well, I was going to say something different, but it's really just Terminator, but J.J. Abrams directed it, basically taking the existing films and twisting them slightly to make it feel fresh. Genisys was actually directed by Alan Taylor, who had directed episodes of Game of Thrones before people hated Game of Thrones, and also directed a Thor movie before people loved Thor movies. Genisys more or less ignores the previous two movies out of spite, like J.J. Abrams. In Genisys, we start again in the future with John Connor and Kyle Reese making the final assault on the machines, just as the machines have sent back the Terminator from the first film. It's a bit of an info dump, and by a bit we mean it's like a bulldozer depositing tons of obsolete encyclopedia into pulping machines. Basically, Kyle Reese goes back and we see a number of recreations of scenes from the first film.
Nice night for a walk, eh?
Nice night for a walk.
When, oh look, twist.
I've been waiting for you.
And again, twist.
Come with me if you want to live.
So now we have a fully fledged badass Sarah Connor and her T-800 friend. She calls him Pops, possibly because calling him Daddy would have been taken the wrong way.
Did you mate?
Oh.
There's another T-1000, and there's a DIY time machine that sends Sarah and Kyle to 2017, which is now the latest date for Judgment Day, which is about the 7th in the series, and John Connor, but now he's been turned into some form of human Terminator hybrid working to ensure Skynet's success. Matt Smith is also in the film, but apart from one scene, he's really just a voiceover. As Kyle Reese travels back in time, he sees an alternate version of himself as a boy, reciting a message. Sarah Connor also finds it hard to find the right way to tell Reese that his boss is her son, that he will become his boss's dad, and if Reese doesn't make Sarah Connor his baby mama, then his boss won't be born, and I thought the Daddy Terminator imagery was bad.
What are you talking about?
Genisys in the movie is some sort of computer thing that when it goes online will take over and kill everyone. It's like a Windows update that bricks your PC, except here it bricks the human race. The second half is basically Sarah, Pops and Reese trying to defeat Skynet John Connor, and surprise, surprise, they do, destroying the San Francisco headquarters of Genisys, which has the effect of driving up Bay Area rent even higher, leaving Kyle to have a moment with his alternate timeline younger self.
This is gonna sound kind of strange.
The cast are okay if you can buy them in roles you know from other actors. Jason Clarke as John Connor and Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese are both Australian. Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor and Matt Smith, stars of Game of Thrones and Doctor Who respectively, are English. And some are better than others at doing American accents. Clarke's Connor, that's not Jason Clarke's Connor, but Emilia Clarke's Connor,
is like now a valley girl, like ripped straight out of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like whatever.
Again, the film is entertaining enough while you're watching it, but also instantly forgettable. It's like watching an alien running down the high street, and then Will Smith appears and zaps your brain.
Old.
But not obsolete.
Not yet.
In parts, it tries to emulate Back to the Future Part 2 by twisting iconic moments from earlier films, which in the case of the Terminator franchise is the first two, and hopes that the alternate timeline counts as an original idea.
Genisys is Skynet.
I find Genisys to be okay. The plot itself was nothing amazing, and some of the human moments could get a bit sickly, cloying and saccharine, like you vomit the day after Halloween. Arnie even survives the end of this one.
This was always your programming. Find John and terminate him.
Let him go. Right now.
Genisys, with its weird spelling and now infamous character posters, adds very little to the franchise, that it sort of nukes itself out of existence with alternate timelines and a happy ending.
That's really disturbing, right?
So I wonder how that's going to work out.
It's not a bomb.
Well, you knew they weren't done with the franchise. In 2019, director Tim Miller gave us Dark Fate, this time with James Cameron on board as a producer. Dark Fate is yet another timeline, this one beginning with teenage John Connor being found and killed by yet another T-800 Terminator. When they said Edward Furlong was going to be in this is not what I had in mind. I'm also pretty sure this is not what Edward Furlong and his agent had in mind either. Anyway, In Dark Fate, Skynet's existence has been replaced by something called Legion, and since John Connor was dead, someone else had taken his place. It's like, hey guys, we've defeated Skynet enough, and it seems silly that they always manage to send back one more Terminator. Also, this hitherto unknown new type of Terminator popping up in every film is getting a little old. The film starts in Mexico, with auto worker Danny finding herself the target of a hitherto unknown new type of Terminator. A Rev 9 called Gabriel, sent back to kill her. But also, Grace, an augmented human soldier, has been sent back to protect Danny. Sarah Connor, grizzled and weary, also shows up and then seems to spend much of the film pissed off that she's no longer a target and that John is never going to become the resistance leader. I mean, salty Sarah, salty Connor is pissed about everything.
That when Danny's safe and this is all over, I am going to kill you.
The Rev 9 is basically two Terminators in one, an endoskeleton and a living metal skin, so he's a bastard to kill. But on the other hand, like if say you had to move a couch up a flight of stairs, I have to say the extra hands would be useful. The film is a long chase, starting in Mexico and then across the border into Texas. Sarah Connor has been hunting Terminators for years, receiving coordinates of Terminator landing sites via anonymous texts. The source of those texts, some guy who sells curtains called Carl.
So Carl, that's the plan.
Who is, yes, the same Terminator who killed John Connor, and then, having found himself without orders, settled down and became a family man and learned what it's like to be human. It's exactly what happens when somebody from Human Resources gets laid off.
This will be very hard to explain to Alicia.
Dark Fate was, as they say in the trade, a movie that did not find an audience, which is code for a flop, a bomb, a box office stinker. And here's the rub, it's by no means bad. It has probably the best emotional core of any entry since the second film, which just shows how Linda Hamilton's absence was felt in previous films.
Fine.
There was this one customer that came to me. He wanted to have solid colored drapes in a little girl's room. I said, don't do it. You need butterflies, polka dots, balloons.
Its action tends towards over the top and lacks a little weight. The use of CG stunt double seems really, really obvious in this film. I mean, I use a CG stunt double when I talk to co-workers on Zoom, so I can sneak off and play video games during work hours. Well, I say stunt double, it's actually a photograph of me taped to the webcam. Also, I should have picked a photo where I wasn't drinking beer on a beach. The twist in Dark Fate is that Danny's future child will not become leader of the Resistance, but it's Danny herself. She will bring the survivors together to fight Legion. The end of the film leaves things open for future adventures in this timeline.
I'll be back.
But then the film tanked harder than George S. Patton in North Africa. I mean, the cast is pretty good here. Linda Hamilton keeps the film tied together.
I hunt Terminators. And I drink till I black out.
Natalia Reyes is good as spunky Danny.
I want to stand and fight. So we choose our weapons and our ground. We're gonna set up a
kill box.
Mackenzie Davis gets to play a badass, or at least the CG Mackenzie does.
I don't know how I made it through the next few years. I just try not to think about it.
Gabriel Luna's manners are impeccable.
You boys know where I can get my hands on a chopper.
Though he doesn't have the terse menace of Robert Patrick. And Arnold is here, and this time gets to heroically sacrifice himself. Again. And gets pretty much all of the film's best comic lines.
And I'm extremely funny.
I mean, not that there are all that many. Terminator Dark Fate is a solid film and an entertaining one, but again, no one went to see it. At this point, we've had 6 Terminator feature films, and every one after the first 2 seems a bit disposable or forgettable. They are films that you would rarely seek to watch on their own. If you decide, no, to hell with it, I'm going to sit down and watch all of the Terminator films in order, one after the other, you'll see not so much a decline, but a lingering sense of why. It's a feeling that is compounded by the fact that each new film is determined to erase the previous film, like a cinematic enema. What do these films bring to the table other than a visual record of the rise and fall of Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, his entry into politics and his housekeeper, and back again, either as a CG double or a lovable curmudgeon?
You just keep this around?
I calculated a 74% chance that human civilization will collapse into barbarism. Also, this is Texas.
The short-lived TV series the TV series Terminator, does a better job at building on the first 2 films than any of the big-budget sequels. The future is not set, so somebody will probably dust off Arnold Schwarzenegger, or at least a less than totally convincing digital double for another film at some point. Because, you know, there is no money to be made from the Terminator franchise, but that which we make ourselves.
I love you too, sweetheart.
maybe just watching Arnie communicate his intention to return is enough.
I'll be back.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.